Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Uh, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Bapak-Bapak, Ibu-Ibu untuk invitation, and mohon maaf Bapak-Bapak Ustaz kalau saya sini talking. Bahasa Indonesia saya belum lancar, makanya saya pakai bahasa Inggris saja. Okay, as you know, I'm Iranian and I come from Iran. Maybe some of you hear about Iran and know about Iran and see the Iran on the map, and also hear on some news. So I'm here to talk about my Iran and the religion in Iran. So basically in Iran we are Muslim, but as you know us as a Shia, and you practice Islam in different names as Sunni, but basically the basics are same, and the usul and I can say many of you also same, just on some small beliefs that some ulama have different ideas. And about how Islam grow and raise in Iran, I just will quick recap and explain about this. Maybe some of you still don't know how Islam raised in Iran and how it grow. So basically, unlike of the Indonesia or Islamic culture, will back to 7th century. It will be about 1,400 years ago. In that time, the territory of countries was completely different. If you look at the map, if you see the border of Iran and border of Saudi Arabia and other countries, in that time, the territory was different. So Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, all was part of or Persian Empire. And besides that, in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Oman, Yemen, Emirat was part of one unique territory that called Khulafa Rashidin, the place that Islam raised first time. And beside that, we had Empire of Rome. So long short story, I don't want to involve you with detail of history. The long short story is in that time, Khulafa Rashidin decided to develop their criteria for many reasons. Maybe shortage of food or developing the Islam, many reasons mentioned in Islam. But this was the point that Islam transmitted and started to grow in Iran by attacking the Islam army from Islamic territory to the Iraq. As I mentioned, Iraq was part of Iran, and they captured many countries. And after decades, they start to capture more countries, and they capture the cities that right now you can see as Iran on the map. And in the centuries later, they even go further and take the Pakistan and Afghanistan. And by the last Khulafa Rashidin, Osman Raziullah, or Iranian Empire fall, and it was the beginning of rise of Islam for Persian and Iran. But after centuries, it still wasn't completely accepted for many people that living in this empire. So Islamic government asking to governors to pay some money to keep their religion and don't change to Islam as a jizya. They call in Arabic jizya. So they pay a mountain money to the Arab armies to be in their own religion. But I will make it short. And long short story, finally after 200 years, Iranians slowly become Muslim by their billings. I mean, after the war and war finally look like peace, they try to accept by heart. And it continued till now. And if we back to the closest history, look like 30, 40 years ago, if you see the history, you can see Iran still was a kingdom. And if we want to analyze the Sunni Shia and this argument, you can see in that time, Iran compared to Indonesia that I living in here, it had more freedom. People like Sunni, Shia, Christian, or other religion living in peace together. But after about 30, 35 years ago, that Islamic revolution happened and our kingdom fell, it caused a different atmosphere. So like right now in Iran, the most domination is that government usually apply for people, and media is like in Shia way. But in many countries in borders near Afghanistan, Pakistan, we still have many cities that the majority of people are Sunni. And as I live in Iran, I think there is not much conflict between these two type of Muslim, if I call type. But basically both are same, both willing to God, both have same prayers. We all have masjid, same as here. We pray same. We infaq same. We go to Hajj, Umrah. It's in 80%, 90%. I think it's same. Just I think the idea and politics. Some politician make some conflict around these topics. But how much time I have? As I experience in Indonesia, I feel right now in these 30, 35 years that Iran government changed and become a republic, I think there is not much freedom of speech because they think the majority is by Shia. So, but in here, as I face with different peoples, I see people more sincere. They are Sunni, but they never compare themselves with Shia, or even some of them don't know what is Sunni Shia, and it was so interesting for me. And this is what exactly I willing to be as a Muslim. I pray look like Sunni. I raised in Shia family, but I pray like Sunnis. I love Sunnis, and I do everything that just make the God happy and not against the God rule. So I think in here I feel a bit more freedom because I have I can see the Christian have their own church in different cities. Usually if someone not Muslim or even Muslim, I see Muslim don't cover the hijab. But in Iran is different. By government, it's forced. Even you, true believer, your belief is less or low, you have to wear hijab. In every public places, even from foreign countries, they come to our country, they have to wear hijab, even Christian or whatever. So government explain this as our culture. If you come to our culture, you should accept this. Okay, if you go out from our country, you Christian or you whatever, you can be yourself. Yeah. But I like the freedom in Indonesia because government never force people to be Muslim. Nobody force any to be Muslim. Even in my office, I see many girls not wearing hijab. I think they're Christian, but after I know them, they said no, we are Muslim. Even they pray too, but they don't wear hijab. It's not happening in Iran at all. So this is some differences between Indonesia and Iran that I like more in Indonesia. Then about other differences, maybe about some my time. Oh, okay. Terima kasih Bapak untuk waktunya. Atur suwun. Ya.
Ini kalau saya baca banyak banget ini. Oke ya, secara umum saja saya mencoba untuk menerjemahkan sedikit demi sedikit, tapi saya tidak mau menerjemahkan kata per kata. Saya ambil substansinya saja. Jadi beliau ini ingin menggambarkan secara umum perkembangan Islam di Iran. Sebelumnya Iran itu disebut sebagai Sasania, meliputi sekaligus Iran, Jordania, apa lagi? Lupa saya tadi. Ya, Irak, ya, dan seterusnya. Nah, semakin berkembang waktu, tentunya hal yang paling potensial, hal yang paling mendasar perkembangan Islam di Iran itu tidak lepas dari dua mazhab besar. Nah, dua mazhab besar itu apa saja? Yang pertama yaitu mazhab Syiah, yang kedua Sunni. Itu. Nah, kebetulan dua mazhab ini menjadi mazhab terbesar dalam agama Islam. Sebetulnya ada perbedaan-perbedaan mendasar antara Syiah dan Sunni. Nah, kebetulan di Iran itu 90% itu negaranya beragama Islam tapi bermazhab Syiah. Kecuali Mas Mas'ud ini, dia Sunni tulen. Insyaallah Sunni tulen. Sunni tulen beliau. Nah, beliau termasuk yangnya 10%-nya ya, 10%. Jadi 90% orang Iran itu menganut mazhab Syiah. Nah, Syiah itu terbagi lagi menjadi beberapa aliran. Apa saja yang paling mayoritas di Iran itu ialah mazhab Imamiyah. Ini saya tambahkan Bapak Ibu ya, tidak ada dalam sini tadi. Saya tambahkan sendiri biar luas pengetahuannya begitu. Mazhab Syiah Imamiyah yang mengakui 12 imam. 12 priests, ya, 12 imam. Satu di antaranya Imam Ja'far, ya, salah satunya mendirikan mazhab Ja'fariyah. Nah, sebetulnya secara furu, secara usul, secara akidah sama antara Sunni dan Syiah, hanya perbedaan terjadi secara furu'iyah. Jadi mungkin bab-bab fikih mungkin berbeda antara Sunni dan Syiah. Kalau akidah ya hampir sama, tapi ada perbedaan mendasar, yaitu pengakuan Ali bin Abi Thalib sebagai pemimpin. Ya. Bahwa kalau Syiah Imamiyah itu menolak Abu Bakar, Umar, Utsman sebagai khalifah, tetapi mereka mengakui Ali sebagai khalifah, ya, sebagai khalifah yang resmi untuk menjadi pemimpin umat Islam pada waktu itu, di mana Nabi Muhammad SAW sudah meriwayatkannya dalam hadis, sudah menunjuk Ali pada waktu itu sebagai seorang pemimpin yang sah untuk menggantikan Nabi, bukan sebagai Nabi tapi sebagai pemimpin umat Islam pada waktu itu. Ini sekedar tambahan. Ya, di sini karena ada cara dasar Sunni dan Syiah, makanya saya akan menjelaskan di situ. Nah, tadi sudah saya jelaskan secara geografis, ya, letak negara Iran itu sangat dekat dengan peradaban Arab seperti Arab Saudi, Suriah, Persia, Pakistan, atau Middle East, ya, Timur Tengah. Dan beliau mencoba untuk menggambarkan suasana iklim beragama antara Iran dan Indonesia itu sangat berbeda. Beliau ketika datang ke Indonesia itu merasakan adanya kebebasan, ya, di dalam beragama, tidak ada paksaan gitu, la ikraha fiddin, kan, tidak ada paksaan dalam beragama. Berbeda di Syiah sana, di mana pemerintah itu terlalu menekan gitu ya terhadap umatnya, otoriter, sifatnya otoriter, memiliki sifat otoritarianisme terhadap para pemeluk agama di Iran sana. Jadi tidak ada ruang-ruang kebebasan berekspresi, tidak ada demokrasi di sana. Berbeda dengan kebudayaan, culture di Indonesia, di mana di Indonesia sangat memberikan kebebasan, pemerintah sangat memberikan kebebasan kepada masyarakatnya untuk memeluk agama mereka masing-masing. Di sini beliau kagum dengan hubungan antar agama di Indonesia, begitu berbeda sekali dengan di Timur Tengah, di mana di sana sering terjadi banyak konflik. Ya, konflik biasanya konflik itu mengakar pada konflik internal dan eksternal. Konflik internal itu konflik yang terjadi karena adanya perbedaan pendapat keagamaan antara mazhab satu dengan mazhab yang lain. Nah, berbeda dengan Indonesia yang terdiri dari berbagai macam culture, agama, berbagai macam suku, itu bisa mengelola konflik itu, atau disebut sebagai manajemen konflik, sehingga hasilnya ialah Indonesia adalah negara yang menjadi negara percontohan sebagai negara yang memiliki kadar toleransi yang tinggi untuk bisa mengelola masyarakatnya yang beragam. Berbeda di Timur Tengah. Di Timur Tengah itu memang wataknya keras, Bapak Ibu, keras. Seperti kabilah-kabilah pada waktu itu di Arab memang memiliki watak keras karena secara geografis memang dituntut untuk memiliki karakter yang keras gitu. Saling tempur antara satu dengan yang lain itu sudah biasa di Timur Tengah, dan itu terjadi sampai sekarang. Nah, mungkin itu ya yang bisa saya sampaikan kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian, karena kalau saya baca terlalu banyak ini, saya ambil intinya saja, karena ini kita nanti akan melanjutkan sholat taraweh. Dari itu, dari saya cukup sekian, saya akhiri. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.